Odysseus's tale was finished. Held in the spell of his words, they all remained still and silent throughout the shadowy hall, till at last Alcinous turned to his guest and said, "Odysseus, now that you've set foot on the bronze floor of my great house, I feel assured that you will reach your home without any further wanderings from your course, though you have suffered much. But now, friends, this is my wish. Let it stand as an order to every one of you who comes to my palace to drink the sparkling wine of the elders and enjoy the minstrel's song. The clothing, gold ornaments, and other presents that our councillors brought here are already packed for our guest in a polished, strong box. I now suggest that in addition, we each give him a large tripod and cauldron. Later, we will recoup ourselves by a collection from the people, since it would be hard on us singly to show such generosity with no return. Alcinous's proposal... Wait, you want to give him an abundance of tripods and cauldrons, and then you're going to tax the people? I see. Oh, hi, Mango. Really? What's the matter? Yeah? No. Alcinous's proposal was approved, and all went home to their beds. As soon as dawn came, fresh and rosy-fingered, they came bustling down to the ship with their welcome bronzeware gifts, and the great Alcinous himself went up and down the vessel. I managed to stop the recording before you heard too much of the coughing and spluttering. Stowing them carefully under the benches so that they would not hamper any of the crew as they pulled on the oars. This done, they returned for a banquet to Alcinous's palace, and great Alcinous slew an ox for them to sacrifice to Zeus of the black cloud, the son of Cronus, who is lord of all. Haven't you had enough feast? Just let the man go home. They burnt the thighs and settled down to enjoy the splendid feast, while in their midst the people's favourite, Demodocus, that divine bard, sang to the music of his lyre. But Odysseus kept turning his face to the blazing sun, impatient for it to set, as he was longing to be on his way. He was like a ploughman who yearns for his supper after his 2 brown oxen have pulled the ploughshare up and down the field all day. The sunset is welcome to him, and his legs are weary as he plods homeward. Like him, Odysseus welcomed the setting of the sun that day. No sooner was it set than he appealed to the Phaeacians, those lovers of the oar, and to Alcinous in particular. "Lord Alcinous, my most worshipful prince, make your drink offerings now and see me safely off. And farewell to you all, for now my dearest wishes have been fulfilled. I have your escort home, and I have your welcome gifts. May the gods in heaven bless them, and may I find my wife and loved ones safe and sound on my return home. As for you whom I leave behind, may you all bring happiness to your good wives and to your children. And may the gods prosper you in every way and keep your people from harm." This speech of Odysseus won the approval of the whole company. They felt he had spoken in the right way, and so now gave instructions that their guest should be sent on his way. Mighty Alcinous called to his squire. "Pontonous," he said, "mix a bowl of wine and serve everyone in the hall, so that we can make a drink offering to Father Zeus before seeing our visitor off to the land of his birth." Pontonous mixed the mellow wine, went his rounds and served each of the guests, who, from their seat, then made libations to the blessed gods that lived in the far-flung heavens. Then the gallant Odysseus rose from his chair and put his 2-handled cup in Arete's hands. He spoke, and his words were winged. "My queen, here's fortune all your life, until man's common lot, old age and death, comes to you. I take my leave of you now. Here in your home, may you be happy in your children, your people, and Alcinous your king and uncle." With this, the noble Odysseus stepped across the threshold. Mighty Alcinous ordered a squire to accompany him and lead him to the good ship and the seashore. Arete sent with him a party of serving women, one with a clean cloak and tunic, another in charge of his strong box, and a third carried bread and red wine. When they had come down to the ship and the sea, the young nobles who were to escort him took charge of his baggage, including all the food and drink, and stowed it in the polished ship. For Odysseus himself, they spread a rug and sheet on the ship's deck, well aft, so that he might enjoy unbroken sleep. Then he too climbed on board and quietly lay down, while the crew took their seats at the oars in order, and untied the cable from the pierced stone that held it. No sooner had they swung back and churned the water with their blades than sweet oblivion sealed Odysseus's eyes in sleep. Delicious and profound, the very counterfeit of death. That's a bit grim. And now, like a team of 4 stallions on the plain who start as one at the touch of the whip, leaping forward to make short work of the course, so the stern of the ship leaped forward, and a great dark wave of the surrounding sea surged in her wake. With unfaltering speed, she forged ahead, and not even the wheeling falcon, the fastest creature that flies, could have kept her company. Thus she sped lightly on, cutting her way through the waves, and carrying a man wise as the gods are wise, who in long years of war on land and wandering across the cruel seas had suffered many agonies of spirit, but was now lapped in peaceful sleep, forgetting all he had endured. When the brightest of all stars came up, the star which often ushers in the tender light of early dawn, the ship's voyage was done, and she drew near to Ithaca. Now in that island is a cove named Phorcys, the old man of the sea, with 2 projecting headlands sheer to seaward, but sloping down on the side toward the harbour. They protect it from the heavy swell raised by rough weather in the open, and allow large ships to ride inside without tying up, once they are within mooring distance of the shore. At the head of the cove grows a long-leaved olive tree, and nearby is a pleasant, hazy cavern sacred to the nymphs, whom we call naiads. I thought they were nereids. This cave contained a number of stone basins and 2-handled jars, which are used by bees as their hives. Also great looms of stone where the nymphs weave marvellous fabrics of sea purple, and there are springs whose water never fails. The cave has 2 mouths. The one that looks north is the way down for men. The other, facing south, is for the gods. And as immortals come in by this way, men do not trespass there. It was here that the Phaeacians put in, knowing the place, and such was the headway of the ship, rowed by those able hands, that a full half of her keel's length mounted the beach. They rose from the benches, jumped out, and made their first task to lift Odysseus, sheet, glossy rug, and all, out of the hollow ship, and deposit him on the sand still fast asleep. Next they took out all the treasures which, at the prompting of the great-hearted Athene, their noble countryman had given him when he left for home. These they stacked in a pile by the trunk of the olive tree, well away from the path, in case some passer-by should find them before he awoke and rob him. This done, they set out for home. Oh no! And now the lord of the earthquake, who had by no means forgotten the threats he had once uttered against the noble Odysseus, asked Zeus what he intended. "Father Zeus, the immortal gods will lose respect for me now that these mortals fail to respect me, these Phaeacians. I mean, who, after all, are my descendants? I said that Odysseus would suffer much before he reached his home, though I never put a final ban on his return. Once you had promised it and nodded your assent, but now these people have brought him over the sea in their good ship and landed him asleep in Ithaca, after showering gifts upon him, countless gifts of bronze, gold, and woven stuffs, far more than he would have ever won for himself from Troy, even if he had come back unhurt with his fair share of the spoils. Really, replied Zeus, the gatherer of the clouds, how can you, the great and mighty Earthshaker, say such a thing? It is not true that the gods don't respect you. It would indeed be a serious matter if they made disrespectful remarks about the eldest and best of their company. As for mankind, if anyone in the pride of his power treats you with disrespect, you have all the future in which to take your revenge. You are free to please yourself. Act as your heart directs. Lord of the Black Cloud, Poseidon answered him, I should indeed like to do as you say, but I have always respected your anger and try to avoid it. Now, however, I propose to wreck that fine ship of the Phaeacians on the misty seas as she comes back from her mission, to teach them once and for all to give up this habit of escorting travellers. And I will also fence their town with a ring of high mountains. And there's the uh-oh. Dear brother, said the gatherer of the clouds, this is what I think best. When all eyes in the city are fixed on the ship's approach, turn her into a rock looking like a ship offshore. Everyone will be astounded. Then there's no need to throw a circle of high mountains round their city. Ice Cream Man. When he heard this answer from Zeus, Poseidon made for Rieu, where the Phaeacians live, and there he waited till the approaching ship, making good headway, came close to land. The Earthshaker then drew near to her, and with one blow from the flat of his hand, turned her into stone, and rooted her to the bottom of the sea. Then he went away. The Phaeacian spectators, oarsmen themselves, and seamen of repute, looked at each other and cried out in words that flew, Who in heaven's name has stopped our swift ship out at sea as she was making port? Only a moment ago she was in full view. They might well ask, for they had no inkling of what had happened, till Alcinous explained. Alas, he cried, my father's prophecy of long ago comes back to me. He used to maintain that Poseidon resented our giving safe conduct to all and sundry, and he foretold that one day he would wreck one of our fine ships on the high seas as she was returning from such a mission, and would overshadow our city with a ring of high mountains. That is what the old man used to say, and now it's all coming true. But listen and accept what I say. For the future, give up your custom of seeing home any traveller who comes to our city, and for the present, let us sacrifice 12 picked bulls to Poseidon. He may take pity on us and refrain from hemming in our town with a long mountain range. In great trepidation, they at once prepared the bulls for sacrifice. So the chieftains and councillors of the Phaeacian people gathered round the altar and interceded with the Lord Poseidon. The good Odysseus now awoke from sleep on his native soil. After so long an absence, he failed to recognize it, because the goddess Pallas Athene, daughter of Zeus, had thrown a mist over the place. Her intention was to make Odysseus unrecognizable, to tell him precisely how things stood, and to prevent his being recognized by his wife and friends or the people of the town, before the suitors had paid for all their transgressions. As a result, everything in Ithaca, the long hill paths and welcoming bays, the beetling rocks and the leafy trees, seemed unfamiliar to its king. He leapt to his feet and stood staring at his native land. Then he groaned, and slapping his thighs with his hands, he cried out in dismay, "Oh no! What country have I come to this time? Are they some sort of brutal tribe of uncivilized savages, or a kindly and God-fearing people? Where shall I put all these goods of mine, and where on earth am I myself to go? If only I had stayed there with the Phaeacians. Then I could have gone on to some other powerful prince, who would have received me well and seen me on my way home. As it is, I don't know where to hide them. And I certainly can't leave them here, or someone else will steal them. And what a blow to find that those Phaeacian lords and chieftains were not exactly wise and honest men. They said they would put me down in my own sunny Ithaca, and then they carry me off to this outlandish place. A broken promise, for which I pray they may be punished by Zeus." "Oh no, don't say that. It's not their fault." "The god of suppliants, who watches all mankind and punishes offenders. But now I had better count my belongings and make sure that the crew have not robbed me and gone off with anything in their hollow ship." With that, he checked his fine tripods and cauldrons, his gold and his splendid woven fabrics, and found not a single item missing. So his thoughts turned to his native land, and, homesick and grieving, he dragged himself along the shore of the sounding sea. Athena now appeared, disguised as a young shepherd, with all the delicate beauty that marks the sons of kings. A handsome cloak was folded back across her shoulders. She had sandals on her glistening feet, and she carried a javelin in her hand. She was a welcome sight to Odysseus, who came forward at once and spoke winged words. "Good day to you, friend. Since you are the first person I have met in this place, do not be hostile, but save these treasures and save me. So I pray to you as I would to a god, and kneel at your feet. But tell me exactly where I am. What part of the world is this? What is the country called, and who live here? Is it one of the sunny islands, or is this fertile slope running down to the sea part of the mainland?" "Sir," said the goddess of the gleaming eyes, "you must be a simpleton or have travelled very far from your home to ask me what country this is. It has a name by no means inglorious. In fact, it is known to thousands, to all the peoples who live in the direction of dawn and sunrise, and all who live in the opposite direction, towards the twilight west. True, it is rugged and unfit for driving horses, and though not extensive, it is very far from poor. Corn grows well, and there is wine too." "Just tell him the name." "Rain and fresh dew are never lacking, and it has excellent pasture for goats and cattle, timber of all kinds, and watering places that never fail. And so, my friend, the name of Ithaca has travelled even as far as Troy, and that, they say, is a good long way from Achaea. Odysseus's patient heart leapt up as Pallas Athene, daughter of the aegis-bearing Zeus, told him its name, and he revelled in the knowledge that he was on his native soil. He addressed her with words on wings, but not with the truth. True as ever to his own interests, he held back the words that were on his lips. "Of course," he said, "I heard tell of Ithaca, even over there across the sea in the spacious land of Crete. And now I have come here myself with all this booty, leaving the other half of my fortune to my children, for I am an exile. I had killed Idomeneus' son, the great runner, Orsilochus, who was faster on his feet than any living man in the whole island of Crete. He tried to fleece me of all the booty I had won at Troy, my reward for the long-drawn agonies of war, and all the miseries of voyages by sea, merely because I refused to obey his father and serve under him at Troy, and preferred to lead my own command. So with a friend at my side, I laid an ambush for him at the side of the road." You're talking to Athene. She knows this isn't true. "And struck him with my bronze spear as he was coming in from the country. There was a pitch black sky that night, covering the heavens, and not a soul saw us, so no one knew that it was I who'd killed him. However, with the man's blood fresh on my hands, I hastily sought out a Phoenician ship and threw myself on the mercy of its honest crew. Crew. I made them a suitable payment for my booty and told them to take me on board and set me down in Pylos, or the good land of Elis, where the Epeans rule. But the wind was too strong and drove them off their course, much to their distress, for they had no wish to cheat me. Driven back from there, we reached this island during the night and made the harbour by dint of rowing. And though we badly needed food, not a man among us thought of his supper. We all tumbled out of the ship and lay down just as we were. I was so exhausted that I fell sound asleep. Meanwhile, the crew fetched my belongings out of the good ship and put them down on the sand where I lay. After which they embarked once more and set sail for their own fine city of Sidon, leaving me and my troubles behind. That was Odysseus' story. The bright-eyed goddess smiled at him and caressed him with her hand. She now wore the appearance of a woman, tall, beautiful, and accomplished. Then she spoke, and her words winged their way to him. Anyone who met you, even a god, would have to be a consummate trickster to surpass you in subterfuge. You were always an obstinate, cunning, irrepressible intriguer. So you don't propose, even in your own country, to drop the tricks and lying tales you love so much. Pathological liar? But no more of this. We both know how to get our own way. In the world of men, you have no rival in judgment and argument, while I am preeminent among the gods for ingenuity and ability to get what I want. And yet you did not recognize Pallas Athene, daughter of Zeus, who always stands by your side and guards you through all your adventures. It was I who made all the Phaeacians take to you so kindly. And here I am once more, to contrive a cunning scheme with you, to hide the treasures that the Phaeacian nobles, prompted by me, gave you when you left for home, and to warn you of all the trials you will have to undergo within your palace. Bear these with patience, for bear them you must. Tell not a single person, man or woman, that you are back from your wanderings, but endure all aggravation in silence, and submit yourself to the indignities that will be put upon you. Goddess, the nimble-witted Odysseus replied, it is hard for a man to recognize you at sight, however expert he may be, for you are always changing your disguise. But this I know well, that you were gracious to me in the old days so long as we Achaeans were campaigning at Troy. Yet when we had sacked Priam's lofty citadel and gone on board our ships, and a god had scattered the Achaean fleet, I did not notice you then, daughter of Zeus, nor see you set foot on my ship to save me from any of my ordeals. No, I was left to wander through the world with a stricken heart, till the gods put an end to my suffering, and the day came, in the rich land of the Phaeacians, when you comforted me with your talk, and yourself guided me to their city. But now I beseech you in your father's name, since I cannot believe that I have come to my bright Ithaca, but feel that I must be wandering in some foreign country, and that you spoke as you did in a spirit of provocation to lead me astray. Tell me, am I really back in my own beloved land? That shows how your mind always works, said Athene, goddess of the flashing eyes, and that is why I cannot desert you in your misfortunes. You are so persuasive, so quick-witted, so self-possessed. Any other man on returning from his travels would have rushed home in high spirits to see his children and his wife. You, on the contrary, are in no hurry even to ask questions and to learn the news. No, with your own eyes you must first make sure of your wife, who, by the way, does nothing but sit at home with our eyes never free from tears as the slow nights and days pass sorrowfully by. As for your homecoming, I myself was never in any doubt. I knew in my heart that you would get back, though with the loss of all your men. But you must understand that I was not prepared to oppose my uncle Poseidon, who was incensed when you blinded his own son, and has nursed his grudge against you. And now, to convince you, let me show you the Ithacan scene. Here is the harbour of Phorcys, the old man of the sea. There, at the head of the harbour, is the long-leaved olive tree, and nearby the pleasant, hazy cave that is sacred to the nymphs, whom men call naiads. This is the broad, vaulted cavern, where you made many potent sacrifices to the nymphs. The forest-clad slopes behind are those of Mount Narrator. As she spoke, the goddess dispersed the mist, and the countryside stood plain to view. Joy came at last to the noble, long-suffering Odysseus. Overjoyed at the sight of his own land, he kissed the fertile soil, then with uplifted hands invoked the nymphs. I had thought, you nymphs of the springs, you daughters of Zeus, God there's more of them, that I should never set eyes on you again. Accept my greetings and my loving prayers. I will give gifts too, as in days gone by, if this warrior daughter of Zeus allows me to live and see my son grow up. Be bold, said Athena of the flashing eyes, and dismiss all such worries from your heart. Our immediate task is to hide your goods in some corner of this sacred cave where they may lie in safety. After that, we must decide on our best course for the future. The goddess now plunged into the gloom of the cavern to explore it for a hiding place, while Odysseus set about bringing in all his belongings, the gold, the indestructible bronze, and the fine fabrics the Phaeacians had given him. After he had stowed them carefully away, Pallas Athene, daughter of Zeus, closed the entrance with a stone. The two of them then sat down by the trunk of the sacred olive tree to scheme the downfall of the presumptuous suitors. The bright-eyed goddess was the first to speak. Odysseus, favourite of Zeus, son of Laertes, master of ingenuity, consider now how you will come to grips with these shameless suitors, who for 3 whole years have been lording it in your palace, paying court to your incomparable wife, and offering her marriage gifts. All this time she has pined for your homecoming, and though she has given them all some grounds for hope, and made promises in private messages to each, her real wishes are very different. Great heavens! Cried Odysseus of the nimble wits. I would certainly have come to the same miserable end as King Agamemnon directly I set foot in my home, if you, goddess, had not made all this clear to me. But come, devise some ingenious scheme to punish these miscreants, and take your stand at my side, filling me with a spirit that dares all, as you did on the day when we pulled down Troy's shining diadem of towers. Ah, lady of the bright eyes, if only you would aid me with such eagerness as you did then, I could fight against 300 with you beside me, gracious goddess, with your whole-hearted support to count on. I will indeed stand at your side, Athene, the bright-eyed goddess, answered. I shall not forget you when the time comes for this task of ours. As for those suitors who are wasting your fortune, I can already see them staining your broad floors with their blood and brains. Ugh! Why has it got to be the brains? But now to work. I am going to change you beyond recognition. I shall wither the smooth skin on your supple limbs. I shall wither the smooth skin on your supple limbs, and rob your head of its dark locks. I shall clothe you in rags that one would loathe to see on a human being, and I shall dim your bright eyes till you are repulsive to the whole gang of suitors, and even your wife and the son you left at home. And now for your part. You must first of all go to the swineherd in charge of your pigs. His heart is as loyal to you as ever, and he is devoted to your son and your wise queen Penelope. You will find him watching over his swine out at their pastures by the Raven's Crag, and at the spring of Arethusa, where they find the right fodder to make them fat and healthy, feeding on their favourite acorns and drinking water from deep pools. Stay there, sit down with him, and question him about whatever you want to know. Meanwhile, I will go to Sparta, the city of fair women, to summon Telemachus, your own son, Odysseus, who has travelled to the broad vale of Lacedaemon, and visited Menelaus in the hope of hearing news of you, whether you are still alive. Resourceful Odysseus replied, "But why, in your omniscience, did you not tell him that I am? Do you want him, too, to roam the barren seas in misery, while strangers eat him out of house and home?" "You need not be alarmed for him," the bright-eyed goddess answered. "I myself was his escort, so that he would win fame from his journey there. He is in no difficulties, but is sitting quite at ease in Menelaus' palace, in the lap of luxury. It is true that those young men in their black ship are determined to kill him before he can reach home, but I have an idea that they will not succeed. No, sooner than that, the earth will close over some of these suitors who are wasting your wealth." Athene touched him now with her wand. She withered his smooth skin on his supple limbs, robbed his head of its dark locks, and covered his whole body with an old man's wrinkles, and dimmed the brightness of his fine eyes. She changed his clothing into a shabby cloak and tunic, filthy rags grimy with smoke. Over his back she threw a large and well-worn hide of a nimble stag, and finally she gave him a staff and a poor shabby knapsack with a shoulder strap. Their plans prepared, the two Go away, fly! I'm not a bit of rubbish, leave me alone. Their plans prepared, the two parted company, and Athene went on her way to the sacred land of Lacedaemon to fetch Odysseus' son.